I was in the DreamHacks community and someone posted this picture. So the person said, how can I do this? And he wanted direction. So I explained with a voice note, but I still felt like, okay, so maybe I need to put this in a tutorial because I'm sure for him to have asked about it, several other persons have similar issues as well or would want to know. So let's get right into this. I'd like this video to be really short. So the first things you want to do is get your image. So whatever image you want to get is up to you. So I'm going to go up here to the plugins and I'm going to search for Unsplash. And we have Unsplash. So once that loads, you would have to get out an image that you want to use as the image here. But there's something the person wants to know, and it's how was this curve and cut done? And I'm going to show you how that was done. We're just going to get out any random image. So I'm just going to pick that one. You can decide to do the 3D image yourself, but this image works best for me for now, and that's all I need for the image. This will just be by the side, and I will continue with the rest of it. Now, this was done with what we call Boolean groups. Now, Boolean groups can be found at the top of your screen, but only when you select shapes. So if I draw two shapes, if I have two shapes here and I select both of them, I'm going to get the Boolean groups. Now, in the Boolean groups, you can do several things. You can unify these both shapes to become one. You can cut them to subtract it. You can do more. So there are more things here like intersect. Intersect is at the middle of wherever those two shapes meet, they would cut off from that point. And exclude is to minus certain areas of the shape. All right, but let's go back to what can actually achieve this. All right, so what you would need is first, you're going to need a rectangle, or bring out the square tool and draw a square. I'm going to give this square a lighter color so that you guys can see it clearly. And this is going to be the hero image, which is the entire screen you see here, width and height. Now I'm just going to send that to the bottom, and I'll just leave it there for now. And then we need to get out this curve. And how can we do this curve? I would simply just put this aside and let me get a good calculation of that. So with that aside, we can now draw another rectangle. So I'm going to draw a rectangle like this, right? Something around here. And then I will duplicate that. You can hold Alt, all right, bring it this way to the center. Just ensure it's touching each other. And how can you know? If you select both of them, you're going to see 0, or you see -1, or you see -2. If it's on 2, just change that back to 0, and both of them are touching each other. And you can just duplicate the third one. All right, it did not duplicate the way I would want it to because I did not do the duplication at the same time. So if you want something to duplicate using the same calculation from the first one, because the actual image or the actual design has something that looks like a step. So the person moves from here, climbs this mountain to this mountain, and then on top of this mountain. So you want to create a step design, something that looks like a step. So I'm going to select this one, hold Alt, and pull this out until it touches and it's at the center. You're going to know, you see those two lines, the one that shows up here and shows up here. All right, and then we'll press Ctrl D and it gives us this one. So if I select all three of them and enhance their color by giving it a darker color of the orange, you can see what we have. Now we have the steps. Now I'm going to select this one and I'm going to drag it down here to touch with this one, and this one to touch with this one. And that is because when I want to cut this, I don't want some part of this yellow showing at the bottom. If not, it would not really cut out that part. So we're going to leave it like this. Now we have 1, 2, and 3. In fact, we can actually give them different shades of colors so that we know that we're actually selecting 3 different colors. Now with the 3 of them selected, what you want to do is give them a radius. All right, it's not so compulsory, but if you want that curve, you need to give it a radius. You will still give it another radius, but give it the first radius just to be on a safe place. So I'm just going to give it a radius of 60. I think 60 is fine. And then I'm going to break the radius here. All right, the corner radius where you see these other independent corners, and I'm going to have to give them like this area. These areas I'm going to give them 0, so which is the top left. I'll just put 0 there so that it's touching the border. All right, that's what we want. And then the bottom right, which is this area, I think I would want to give it another 1 there. Yes, so this is cool. I'm also going to do the same for the right. Let's do the same for the right. So I'm just going to put 0 here, and that is that for now. I think even without giving it radius, it would work actually. All right, and then with the 3 of them selected, group them by going to the Boolean groups. You can select union selection. That's uniting them. They'll become one color, as you can see, and then I can move it up, ensure it's touching the edge of the other one you want to use. So I'd select it this way, and then I will just move it up until I get a perfect point where I want the step to show. So this is the step. It's going to come from here, climb up here to this point, and then he would end here. All right, that is it, guys. We have this now. So we're going to select these 2. Let me zoom into them. Once we select these 2, we're going to go up, ensure that there's some space here. And the reason is, if you move this guy up and there's a yellow showing, when you cut it, it's still going to show the yellow. All right, you can see the yellow showing down here, or this color showing down there. And if I go back and I do subtract, you can see what happens. So you don't want that to happen. That's why you need to ensure that once you select both of them, you see this blue line shows you that it is out of reach. All right, and then we can now subtract. Now we have this. All right, this is the first step. So we have our dynamic shape now. I'm just going to reduce the size of this guy a bit so that it can be in our viewport. Right, great. Now we have this guy, and what we want to do next is to have that curve. You see that curve that goes around it. All you need to do is very simple. Go to radius, all right, and increase the radius. And that's that. You see why we needed to do the first curve. Now you can see this other curve is there, and it's from the shape that we'd use. If we did not give it that curve, then it wouldn't have given us that curve that we have now. So we can give it the same curve, which is 60. The initial curve was 60. Now we've given it this other curve. Now with this, you can now duplicate your shape to, we want to clip this guy, or you can just clip him at once. It would work. But if you still want like a background for it, maybe you want to clip an image that looks like a PNG image that has other shapes around, and you still want to give it like a color, then it's best you duplicate this guy. So with this, we'll select both of them, and we can do clip or use as max. Sorry, the other guy is supposed to be at the top. So select this guy, send him to the bottom, and then select this other guy, and that's that, clip to bottom, and you have that. Now you can come up here and type your unlocking. Let's increase the size of that. Turn out something like this. Okay, so that was inside our clip marks. Let's type this outside. We're going to type unlocking. You know why that's doing that? It's because it's inside the clip marks, and it's outside the area of the clip marks. You can see if I bring it up, it shows, but if I take it down, it doesn't. So how I would solve this is to keep it somewhere around where, let's just use the navigation key for now. Send this to the top. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to select everything, and I'll right click and put it in frame selection so that I can give it a stroke and see where the stroke ends outside. Right, with that I can now type my thing without having issues unlocking, and then with this unlocking we can move it into our border. All right, and you can reduce the size of this, make it maybe bold, something like this. Let's reduce it some more, bring it down. Okay, duplicate it, and you can type the other text. Unlocking new ways to design. Yeah, and that's that. We can now select this initial frame and break it, Control Shift plus G, and I don't know why that happened. Okay, I know why that happened. Just select everything and put it in a frame. All right, put it in a frame. Just ensure that when you're working on this, you do it first before you do all this magic, so that you don't keep having frames hiding behind. And so we have this. We're going to select this other guy and remove the stroke, and we can put these guys inside of a frame. Now we give it a color white, and we can call this hero section. Zoom into that, and there you guys, we are done. You can also play around with the image inside, so you can select the image inside and you can move it around whichever way you want to. You are the magician, so you have every right to do whatever you want to do. I'm going to change the color of this to something like this. Yep, and that's that. And we're done. I'll see you guys very soon.